Hey all, thanks so much for all the lovely support we got for the first episode. It really was lovely.
Really lovely. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the transition of working in the office to working from home and how this could affect how we work in the future.
We don't have a cooking recipe this time, but what we do have is cat cam. Oh, it's like he's dreaming about being on a tiny little motorbike.
Oh, you mean because his paws are just like this? Yeah, he is quite cute. That is actually Fabio, Catherine's cat, who we spoke to in the first episode. We didn't speak to a cat, we spoke to Catherine, but she was talking about her cat, Fabio. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes. Let's talk to Liam from Manchester. He is a professional musician and a music teacher. Hey, Liam.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Hello, guys. Yeah, not bad. Having a nice day.
Since the lockdown, how has your job changed?
The most marked effect, obviously, is the fact that none of us are going out doing live gigs anymore. I was doing a few mornings teaching before that anyway, so luckily I'm able to continue most of that at the moment remotely, which is what most of the people I know are doing anyway, and that's the nice cushion to fall back on, but obviously that's only half or a third or a small proportion of what we normally do. We've got writing to do, we've got creative endeavors that we can be getting on with, so it's about, as always, balancing the stuff that's going to pay your rent with the stuff that's actually interesting and then that is worthwhile creatively. So that's still the case. It's just that it's all taking place at home now. That's the main difference.
Well, once the lockdown's lifted, how do you see things changing in terms of jobs and just our lives in general?
It could be anyone's guess 6 months down the line how we'll feel about it, but it's already starting to, I can see it amongst friends and amongst just being on social media. I can see people starting to think differently about what they value. It's just giving people a breather. I think we were all just tunnel vision in the direction that we'd pointed ourselves in, and we were just carrying it on as enthusiastically as we could. And I think in some respects we were due a little bit of a wake-up call about maybe stop and take a look around and see what's on offer. But we're still always going to have to make a living. We're still all going to have to work, and everyone has their job to do. So it can only change so much, but I think it's going to hopefully change our intentions about what we do the rest of the time.
We are creatures of habit, though, aren't we? So whilst we all have these great intentions and we're setting ourselves these goals, how likely do you think it will be that people will stick to them after all of this? You know, priorities have shifted, but do you think we'll just return back to our normal daily routines, or do you think it has to change?
Personally, I mean, I don't know, but personally, I hope not. Personally, I hope that some of the things that change throughout this, some of the positive things certainly, we can keep a handle on, and it might be long enough of a routine change for us to actually start to establish this lifestyle as a new routine. And I don't mean to say that we all want to be staying inside like mole people after this, but it's just about a different set of priorities with the way that we use our time and what we do with it.
I mean, one thing I'd love to see is people like working less hours but being more productive within those hours. Like, that's kind of how I've always worked. I've always tried to maybe focus 4 days where I'm really working hard, and then you have 3 days off.
Yeah, other countries have shown that. I think we know it as a fact. Basically, there's a lot of Northern European countries and Nordic countries where they operate on like shorter working weeks. It might be some Mediterranean countries as well. They operate on a shorter working week and statistically more productive in that time. It's been proven that.
So like you've said, you work from home a lot, teaching music on the likes of Zoom, etc. How are you finding it?
In terms of teaching, I like it. So far, it's enabled me to not have to travel anywhere to teach. I can do it from home, and it's all worked so far. I'm sure I could straighten things out a little bit more and work on the quality of the videos I'm making, but so far it's worked for me rather than me working for it, which is great. That's what technology should do, isn't it?
Been lovely to speak to you, Liam, and hopefully in the future we'll get you back on, see how you're coping with everything. Let's talk to Laura, but before we do that, let's go to Cam.
Following the government guidelines and keeping clean. Well done, Fabio. Shall we talk to Laura?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so Laura is a HR manager from Manchester. Now, she usually travels the length and breadth of the country for work, but all that has changed ever since the lockdown.
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
Hey, Boo. Hey, V.
So do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us what you normally do and kind of how things have changed for you.
So most of my time is usually like traveling around, seeing our people, training them, spending time with managers. You know, I must admit, I only started the job in January. So this has come quite as a shock because I actually haven't met all of our people yet. So it's been a total, curveball of kind of now we've got to get to know each other in a totally different medium, like we're doing here. But yeah, so that's what I usually do. And it's all about spending like face time with people. Like I'm used to this because where I used to work, we had a very open culture of kind of work from home, and you'd use, audio or video conferencing to talk all the time. But I already had people like establish relationships with those people. So it is like a lot more weird at the moment.
Do you think going forward, this change is going to influence companies to have more or to be more open-minded to flexible ways of working, or do you think they'll return straight back to where we were before the pandemic?
I don't want to speak en masse, but I know what I hope for, and I hope that this period of time has shown us that actually people don't have to be present in their seat to be working. I think that's a really dangerous way of managing people anyway. You're not managing productivity or the engagement of that person, just the fact they're sat at their desk. And we all know we've either been that person or sat next to that person that spends 3 hours on Facebook or online shopping. Just because they're at their desk doesn't mean that they're actually working. So that's dangerous anyway. But I think, those managers are going to have to be forced into this way of working where actually you have to find other ways of building trust with your team and staying connected. So I think by forcing us into this, the world isn't going to be the same after this. And hopefully we'll have really good, positive things that come out of it. And one of them will be the fact that, these flexible ways of working where actually, you can dictate your start time as long as you're doing your job, or, you could go into the office sometimes or work from home. I think we'll all be a bit more comfortable and trusting of each other to be able to do that.
I suppose traditionally you travel for work and that takes time up. Now you're able to work from home. I guess that's an advantage to getting up and getting straight into the work.
Completely. All that commuting time, especially people that live in London. I know that you guys have probably experienced it or had people in your life. I've lived in London. You can spend an hour and a half commuting like 6 miles either end of your day in London. Like, what a gift to have 3 hours of your life back. Even if it's 3 days a week, then 5, the time you're gifting your people back, that is just, it's massive.
Well, you've definitely been more happy. Like week where you work from home, as soon as you finish work, you had energy, to actually enjoy your evening. Where when you're commuting, you'd get back late and you'd just be like, oh, I just want to go to bed, or I just want,
to wind down.
Yeah, I think we forget actually how much having 5 days of getting on a rammed tram or a rammed tube and having that anxiety of actually I need to be at my desk at a certain time, and if I don't, then I'm going to get into trouble. Even if it's not forefront of our mind, it's still there. And that has a physical toll on you, if you're doing that 5 days a week, whereas we've totally removed that, haven't we? We can all feel a bit more flexible, have a bit more time to breathe, a bit more control over how we're working. And it has massive, repercussions as, to our well-being, and therefore the energy that we can spend either on the things we love or the things we love at work,
I agree with you. I certainly hope companies do look at, being a bit more open-minded or flexible in terms of how they allow their team to work, and recognise that it can be effective and maybe more effective in certain circumstances as well.
Completely. I think we all we all deliver our best and bring our best to work when we feel trusted, just like in any relationship. And this, is a really big, kind of trust of each other that work will get done and we can still work like this. And then we all feel more engaged and more happy. So, yeah, some people might think I'm a bit idealistic, but I don't think at all. I think, the proof behind the science of all of this is there.
So last week you hosted a pub quiz including both of us, which was absolutely lovely. And do you just want to talk a bit about that, how you found that, and the difference, I suppose, from sitting in the living room to actually being in a pub, I suppose?
Somebody else who'd said, oh, that would be quite a good idea. And I just thought, you know what? This first week of all of this lockdown stuff, we're all pretty upset about it and coming to terms with it. I'll just make it happen. So wrote a little pub quiz and put the Zoom link out. And first of all, just between our little group that usually see each other every week anyway. But then I thought, no, I'll just send it out there. There's like 16 different households on there. It was brilliant.
It was amazing. It was.
I'd never met. I didn't know them.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you knew everybody. Wow. That even makes it more unusual, doesn't it? But in a great way.
Well, it makes it like a true pub quiz, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got random people there. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. I was very hungover the next day.
But on that note, sort of talking about the pub quiz, do you think after all of this, it's going to feel somewhat odd to just sort of sit in a bar again or a restaurant? Do you think we're going to be kind of not doing that so much because we're so used to our own homes now and doing all these new ways of communication?
I think it's hard, isn't it, to predict what's going to happen? I know right now, and I think it depends how long this goes on for. So, what is it, 11 weeks or something it takes to ingrain a habit in us. And so therefore, if it does, then we might start thinking about actually how we interact day to day a bit more on. I'm hoping it kind of goes to a kind of a happy medium. I think we're going to do both, aren't we? We're going to have learned new things that means that we can connect easily with each other. I mean, we've always had these things. We've just not been forced into a situation to use them. And now we have. So we might use them, that whole Back to the Future thing where you talk to the telly and someone comes on, and as soon as you come in from work and things like that, that's actually becoming a reality.
Well, it's been lovely to speak to you, Laura. Thank you so much for taking your time out to have a chat with us. Bye-bye. Both very interesting chats there. How do you feel about it all?
Well, I definitely have felt the effects of working from home. I mean, I usually work in an office and, I can see the productivity. But I think as well as that, it's great to be able to sit with a team or be in the same room with the people that you work with. So I think it's definitely about sort of striking a balance going forward, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And I really like what Laura was saying about the trust thing. If you've got that trust for an employee, they should be able to work anywhere. I mean, I think from an environmental point of view, it's very good that more people work from home because there's less traffic, there's less pollution in the air because of that, less accidents as well.
True, all true.
But yeah, I think that's
for today. Yeah. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Four Wall Chats. I know we have.
Please subscribe, like, share, and stay strong and safe, you beautiful people.
Bye.